something you realize very quickly in China is that if you get too involved in any particular thing, it doesn't matter what it is, it can actually affect your life in a very negative way. You know, especially since in mainland China, the narrative switches very often. So, you know, one day you might have to be enraged about something, but the next day, if you continue to be enraged about that thing, then it's bad.
Right.
You know, you saw that with the Senkaku Islands, you know, the Diaoyudao thing, where it was like, everybody get mad at Japan right now. So everybody gets mad at Japan. Everybody starts smashing stores. I was there. This actually happened twice while I was in China, where they had these big anti-Japan things. So let's go smash everything. And it was hilarious. The one time I was in Huajianbei, this big electronics district, and they had protests. And on all the LED signs outside the shops, they were like, Diaoyudao shi Zhongguo de, you know, the whatever fishing islands are Chinese, they belong to China. Baidu, if you went on there, like, you know, you get the Google Doodles on Google, and the Baidu Doodle was like, Diaoyudao shi Zhongguo de.
Pop stars doing rap songs about Diaoyudao shi Zhongguo de.
I went in to get my car serviced, and they asked me if I wanted to get a bumper sticker that's like Diaoyudao shi Zhongguo de for my car at the dealership, okay? With a fist, you know, like one of those communist things, you know? And I was like, that's okay. I think I'll stop. I was thinking about trolling people, actually, and secretly at night going and put Diaoyudao shi Ruben there, which means it's Japanese, on people's cars to see how badly they'd get vandalized. But I never went that far. There's always a thing in the back of my mind. Anyway, the fact of the matter is, it was crazy. So I was in Huajianbei, and the protest was like thousands and thousands of people, all pissed off about Japan, all shouting slogans and stuff. And this is obviously staged, okay? And the police drove in a very battered old Honda CRV, you know, police car. They drove it like into the middle of the crowd. All the police got out and kind of walked back and were like, you know, have at it, basically. And the crowd overturned it and beat it up and broke it up. And I was like, this is ridiculous. It's so staged. And then you would see in the newspaper, like, this overturned police car, like the populace is so enraged about Japan, they're taking it out on the cars. But then it got to a point, and this is what I'm trying to make my point here, is it got to a point where it got out of hand. I mean, if you had a sushi shop or you know, anything to do with Japan at all, like a restaurant that had anything to do with Japanese food, they were being smashed up and destroyed and vandalized. And the owners were like putting Chinese flags on the windows and saying, this is a Chinese owned and run establishment, doesn't matter. It says something about Japan on it, destroy it. You drive a Toyota, your car gets trashed, you know? It doesn't matter that you're a Chinese and you've spent your entire life saving up for that car. You've just bought this brand new car. Oh, it's Japanese. So all the mobs are just destroying your car. So suddenly text messages, you know, they send these blanket text messages that all phones get in China whenever they need to say something. You get these text messages, and it read something like, while it's good to be patriotic and proud of your country, we have to start to respect private property, you know, don't go too far type thing. So they sent that out to try and quell the masses. Eventually they were like, look, this is getting out of hand. And all of a sudden, overnight, like they do, all those like Diaoyudao shi Zhongguo de nonsense everywhere just disappeared. Not allowed to put it out anymore. Not allowed to talk about it because it was getting out of hand. Riots were forming. Property was being destroyed. Businesses were grinding to a halt. Like Nissan dealerships were being broken into and all the cars being burnt and overturned and stuff. It really got out of hand. Then it reached a point where you can't go out and start being anti-Japanese anymore. You know, so that's the problem with China, is that the narrative flips all the time. And so if you get too involved in any particular thing, it can actually work against you next month or next week when they decide it's not good.
That actually ties in. I didn't know where you'd go back to the annals of history here with the Japan protests, but it's interesting. I was in a third-tier city when this happened, and the staged police thing that you're talking about, it happened for real because people got text messages about how to go out and protest against Japan. So in this particular area of the city of Huizhou that I was in, they were going out and attacking, it was Hondas as well, but it wasn't police cars, it was actual people's cars, right? Sure. And the thing is, we had sushi shops as well, the Japanese supermarket, all smashed in. Everyone that worked at these places was Chinese, right? It was just representing something Japanese. So immediately in the people's minds, they were like, we have to go attack this thing. The cars were also not Japanese. They were the joint partner ownership of Guangzhou Honda. So that it's 51% ownership of China. And everyone that works there putting together that car in China, building this car in China, in Guangzhou, is Chinese, right? So you're taking it out on another Chinese element. Right. What happened was this protest got so out of hand that, again, the government had to pull the plug. So it served nationalist sentiment in the beginning. take their eyes off of maybe the economy's dipping.
At the time, I think it was the Bo
Xilai incident.
Yeah, so we're like, we got to put something out there to get people's eyes off.
And people jump on it. They're like, finally, we get a chance to get out there and, you know, relieve some of our anger, right?
State-backed protests, you know, state-condoned riots.
Right. Yeah. So they go out there and do that, but then it gets too much, right? And they have to pull the plug. But it's served its purpose already. Sure. People have vented, and the next flavor of their week won't be Japan. Maybe it'll be Canada next time, and we hate Canada for this. But at that time, you know, all the restaurants were putting up signs saying we won't serve Japanese people and all this kind of stuff. And that all vanished, you know, as soon as the government told them to. So to sum it up, really, we never blamed the apathy of Chinese people that don't go out there and try to make change for all this kind of stuff, because you can't. Number one, you've been beaten into submission, whether it's through your work structure, the power structure there, education, the educational system, the Gaokao, all the stresses of life are so much worse for people in mainland China that try to step outside the box a little bit. That apathy it makes a whole lot of sense, but it also is a very, very, it's a bad breeding ground for an authoritarian government to have absolute control.